Hello, everyone. I am presently trying to talk Wayne into this into this position because this is the first time he has ever done halves. I don't know if he can see me. I'm looking around at the moment for my phone, and I don't know where it has gone to. I've been doing text message via the computer. So, Wayne, if you can see me, keep going in the comments. But basically, I assume you have a camera and everything in front of you. Hi, Katrina. Hi. I am. I told Martin it was fine that we would just go on without him. And I am going to try to help Wayne. There's Michelle. So Wayne is a first-time user of Habs, so he is attempting to figure out where he is and what he's doing. Michelle, I just kicked over the because I didn't get a chance to put it back up on the wall. Um, I don't have my wireless mics simply because Martin isn't here. Deja vu, yeah. I'm here. I see you, Wayne. So, Wayne, listen, what you're going to do is you are going to go to your little buttons at the bottom from your main profile page to go live. And then you are going to see this broadcast, the title of this broadcast, and you are going to click on it. And then you will go through the procedures. If you connect any social medias, click on the ones that you actually use or have set up with in-apps, and then keep going, and you should pop up right underneath my image on my hello, welcome to Habs. Yes, Wayne is very much an Instagram user, so I coaxed him into this because on the weekend, I believe it's Saturday, if I remember correctly, I will be on his Instagram live, which I haven't done Instagram live in a while because it doesn't maintain the broadcast for replay. So we're gonna go 1 hour here once Wayne is on. 8:30 is a good time. I've told Martin to stay put at the friend's place instead of trying to drive home in the snow. He says he can do it, and I'm sure he can, but, you know. Wayne, honey, hit the go live. And you will see this cast on the list. So I'm sending you, give me a minute. All right, Wayne, we'll give you a minute or a few seconds or whatever it takes. All right. Well, we give Wayne a minute to figure it out. It's a new app for him. He's going to have to walk us through Instagram Live on Saturday simply because I don't remember how to do it on someone else's broadcast either. It's been a long time since I've used Instagram Live. I tend not to use Instagram Live simply because it does not maintain the the broadcast. It does not save the broadcast. So while he's doing that, I am going to see if things like the large summary, because I no longer have a compilation of videos. So Wayne is learning, folks. Yay! I am trying to convince Wayne to join us on here on Haps because with the awards and everything and the sponsorships and the fact that Instagram does not have something like that, he has made a incredible effort and a conscious effort to create a positive body image, create a positive body image for people by promoting and supporting cosplayers on his Instagram. Going to eat and take a break from my eyes. And in a while, I'll come check back in. You got it, Michelle. And thank you so much for drawing. Hi, Shane. Thank you so much again for drawing me. It's wonderful. I'm hoping you get the chance to draw Martin as well, because it's really I'd like to put something better up than what I showed you earlier with the boob target, as I'd like to call it. So Wayne, 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 Wayne. While you're doing that, Wayne, I am going to pull a few things up. I hope. I'm looking and looking and looking, and I thought I had certain videos here, but I do not. Well, I will see what happens then. Oh, Who Party 9, there it is. There it is. I'm going to put that off to the side. Wayne, my dear. So, yes, Wayne, if you can still hear me, click the go live button and then you will see this cast because I already invited you. Wayne. So, Wayne, what I'm going to do is I don't know if you're working with Apple or PC, but I am thinking that I will uninvite you, invite you back. It's amazing, folks, isn't it, how long 10 minutes can be. All right. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. So I'm just going to stick that up in the corner and turn the volume off. So when Wayne joins us here, Instagram, basically he has an Instagram profile where he promotes body positivity. And I told him that he should be over on Habs because he should get additional appreciation and support, especially in a financial tip way, for what he is trying to accomplish. And that is positive body. Positive body. Especially through cause. His connection lost, it says. Oh. All right. That was weird. It's a connection lost. And then it did some weird things. Okay, if everyone can hang on a sec, I want to restart the graphics server. I think it's just too much of a pull on it. So let's, I'm going to do that. So I might disappear for a moment. Not 100% sure. All right. Get back in. All right, Wayne. So did you figure it out, Wayne? Wayne, would you like me to uninvite you and invite you again? Sorry, guys and gals. Let me put this video up and I'm going to open another coffee. I'm going to open up another window to see if I can fuss a little bit to, yes, yes, you want me to invite you? All right, so I'm going to give them the large video to look at and they can still hear my voice, but that way they're not watching my crazy talking head, but more these images. I am looking for you again. See you. There you are. There, now I've re-invited you, so what you need to do is go to notifications, and you should see the invite there. Wayne, people are pretty forgiving. I've only got until about 9 o'clock, but if it winds up being a little shorter and we come on and do the subject matter again, then that is what we will do. So Wayne, go ahead and drop out of the broadcast and go to your notifications. In your notifications, you will see a fresh, brand new invite. And there he is.
Hey, hey.
Let's
Sorry,
put
everyone.
Wayne in that
It's my
spot.
first time.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, yes, it is. So I'm going to sort us out a little bit so I can get you next to me. And
Hmm.
there we go. And I'm going to close the
There you go.
video so we can have a little more space. There we go. That's how it works, folks. My
Hi,
apologies.
everyone.
Everyone, welcome Wayne to Hats. Woo!
Hey.
So unfortunately, Martin wound up snow stuck, so to speak. He's got new
Hmm.
tires, but not snow tires, and it made more sense for him to stop at a friend's place closer to where he was and just stay and have dinner and feed himself, etc., etc. So I'm here alone, but that's okay. It's not the first time. I'm used to being abandoned.
No, it's okay. No. Well, with this weather, I think it's a valid choice you being over there because it's crazy outside.
So yes, everyone's saying hello to Wayne now. That's great. Harold Connell there has been a Klingon. His name is his alias is Chill. Chill is literally a very chilled Klingon, and Harold and I have been doing the cosplay thing for many, many, many years. When I was doing Deanna Troy, and then later Jadzia Dax. Chill was my
Wow.
star Klingon at all of my gigs, especially when it came to kids. So we're really happy to
Oh,
have him
that's
back in our
cool.
life now that we've moved back to Toronto. So Wayne, why don't you go ahead and right off the bat and tell us a little about yourself and what you're trying to accomplish on your Body Heroes profile on Instagram.
Well, my name is Wayne. Everyone, nice to meet you. I basically started doing this Body Heroes within about a few years ago, about May of 2017, and my goal is not just for cosplay, but for body positivity in general. That we're all awesome in our own way, in our own style, and we shouldn't have to worry about what kind of body type because none of us fit a type of mold. We're awesome as we are, and I wanted to bring people out to show that's possible. That no matter what you do, whether it's cosplay, whether it's being a musician, whether it's doing artwork or doing anything in life, your body is always your main source of everything you have. So enjoy it and love it for what it does. So
Hmm.
that's basically my goal. It's just giving body positivity.
Now, a lot of people, and by the way, everyone, please do share. I've got this tagged as a HAPS challenge. We'd like to see it up to 250, but unfortunately, I cannot go past 9 o'clock tonight because of other things that are
Hmm.
happening around me. So my time is much more limited than it was. So don't worry, I will be on his Instagram, Body Heroes channel on Saturday. Yes.
Next Saturday, the 22nd, it'll be, and everyone is welcomed, and you're welcome to ask any questions you have, and whether it's to me or to Christina, everyone's going to answer a question, and we're all in it to learn from each other, and that's the best thing.
Well, and as a Gen Xer, I can safely say that we grew up without the success of internet thing, and we used to dream about it all the time as being this grand
Yeah.
connector. And it's horrible that a lot of a lot of times, in a lot of places, in a lot of realities, it's this horrible troll infestation. But there's these nice little pockets that remain in this positive energy that makes a Gen Xer go, we didn't do so
Hmm.
bad. We actually did okay. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Hello,
I
Dimitri.
totally agree. And hi, Dimitri. And one of the good reasons that we didn't have internet is that way most of our stuff wouldn't get caught. So fortunately, a lot of things don't have to worry about that.
That's true. That's
But you're
very true.
right. But you're absolutely right. It's with the internet, you can find so many great things. You can find great references of stuff. You can find music, books, art. But you'll also find people who are trolling on other people. They're saying mean tweets and that kind of reason why I started this because I got sick and tired of seeing it. I got seeing people, you're too this, you're not enough that, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too tall, you're too skinny, you're not black, you're not black enough. All these different things about different people, and it's not right. And that's kind of why I wanted to make Body Heroes a safe place, a safe haven that people who can be. We can promote positivity. We can able to talk to other people and learn from each other. And a lot of times, I wanted to bring that, and that's kind of how I got started. And it's like everybody is awesome in whatever body you have. You know,
Well,
that's
and
the way I see it.
you are like, I mean, one of the things that I talked about this morning, I was on Frameable Faces broadcast this
Mm,
morning, and Doug and Allie are very incredible people. You know, we met them when we were all periscopers, and now we're over here as hapsters. We're hapsters. I love that term,
Hamsters,
hapsters. We're not hipsters, we're hapsters. And one of the things I was
hamsters.
saying to them, and you know, one of the things I also said to someone else on one of the Toronto acting groups, is when I was much
Mm,
younger, you know, I was trying to get the big agents, and I was trying to, you know, to be the big name, and I was fairly big in some things, but not globally big. And
yeah.
I was constantly being told by agent after agent that I was no more than a backgrounder because I am not a mass marketable body type. So,
Uh,
in other words, I'm 5'4". I have the muscle mass of a 5'8" woman, but I'm not 5'8". So
mm,
my body is boxier. I mean, it's an hourglass. I have, you know, I have my chest, I have my rib cage, and then I have my
yep.
waist all of a sudden,
Right.
and then I have my hips all of a sudden. So my waist is this
Mm,
tiny little space that just kind of suddenly goes in and then back out, and it's hard to
mm,
costume. It's hard to, you know, it's hard to do things with. And I actually did consider surgery at one point. I was going to go in and get my
yeah.
lower rib removed and then the next rib up
Mm,
cracked to have a nice gradual
yeah.
waistline and get my hips shaved down so that I could
Yeah.
be a nice natural fluid, you know, shape. And I went to 5 different doctors, and I'm grateful I did because the fifth doctor looked at me and said, "Has anyone talked to you about what'll happen when you're in your 30s? Your bone mass is your bone mass. It will never change no matter what you do.
Mm,
Your body weight in your upper rib cage is going to push down on now the lack of support because you took everything out and you changed your shape. And by the time you're
oh.
30, you're either going to be in a
Oh.
wheelchair or back in surgery."
Mm,
And
wow.
I said, you know, I don't, you know, that's scary. That's very scary.
Mm,
Why would I do that to myself? You know, why would I even
yeah.
think of doing that to myself? So I went and you know, I started doing cosplaying, and back then it wasn't cosplaying. And
Mm,
I started finding creative ways to express myself that didn't involve surgery. And before I knew it, I was working for Paramount, and I was working for 20th Century, and I was working for all these other big companies. And I never ever
yeah.
thought, you know, before that point, with all these agents going, "You're not a mass marketable body type." I never ever
Yeah.
thought that I would get anywhere, that I would be able to pay even some bills. But yeah, it was that whole
Yeah.
cosplaying, getting into Romana, going to the Doctor Who conventions, eventually meeting Martin, who is skinny. Oh, he was
Mm,
even skinnier back then, but skinny as a rake. And listening to him talk about his body was just, it was depressing. It was horrible, but I could relate because I was there. And
yeah.
it's, yeah, you've got to find what makes you feel good, and you shouldn't worry about everyone else. You know,
Precisely. Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. Your body is one of the most beautiful things you have. And from what you've told me, you have was a beautiful hourglass shape. You know, it's works in a different style. I have a friend of mine who's 5'5", and she's chest, she's slower size, and she has a butt, and she works in a way that says, you know what, I'm 5'5" and I'm a busty female, and I don't plan on changing that because I love myself.
hmm
And she is a person that I interviewed and did it because she is an amazing cosplayer, and I've cosplayed people who are thin. I've got people who are plus size, but the majority I've learned about body positivity is how you see yourself here. Once you get this and figure that you keep this and you get out of your own way, the more that you will be more accountable with my body. At least that's what I found for myself. Back when I was about 46, I was very depressed for a number of years, and I was about 277 pounds, and I'm 5'7". And I'm asthmatic. So add that to the mix, and to think that I was in a situation where I was going to be traveling the world for a year.
Oh,
Now, that's difficult. That's a difficult thing to do. So I said, you know what? I wanted to change something of myself. Because I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I hated myself. I was depressed. I couldn't stand what I was doing my job. I was in the verge of either quitting or getting sabotaging myself and getting fired. So I said, you know what? My wife and I just said, you know what? Let's just travel the world, make a new change, and
thank you,
make the
Dimitri.
most out of it.
Right.
Way to go, Dimitri. And actually, Dimitri's right. We are perfect. Our body is perfect with what we have. He's absolutely right. When I traveled, I started to get myself into shape. I started very small, in a small place in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and just did started with my apartment. And while we were traveling, I would learn different things of how to work out, how to keep myself in shape. Because I was at a weight where I call my healthy size. It was a size that I couldn't stand. And after a year of training and me traveling, I kind of did my own like sort of like Batman. Like he traveled the world and be able to learn different things. And since
Right.
he's my favorite comic book character, I
Right.
kind of followed in that same footsteps. So that was pretty cool. So I was practicing Muay Thai. I was practicing Tai Chi in Vietnam. I was practicing meditation in Malaysia. And while I was traveling, I met so many different people from different walks of life with all different sizes, and they were all amazing people. And I'm thinking it's not about what I see in myself. It's what I see in here. And it took me a long time to figure that out.
Right.
But now I'm at a healthy weight that I'm happy with. I know I can do better, but I'm happy where I am right now. I don't have to worry about walking outside and in about 30 minutes I have to sit down because I'm out of breath or I having lower back pain. But
Well, I'm
I'm
assuming
at a
also
place
with,
where
sorry.
no,
Sorry.
please go ahead.
I'm assuming it with the whole COVID thing too, having to function with the mask on your face and having to, be with the rules and being around people who, they get a small sneeze and suddenly they think they've got the virus, or someone who gets a small
Yeah.
sneeze and doesn't think they got the virus and they wind up having the
Mhm.
virus, and then everyone, a very major figure in local fandom, in Toronto fandom, Lloyd Penny. Lloyd and Yvonne Penny have been part
Mm,
of a organizational fandom since, geez, I think the late 60s. They got married long before Martin and I did. And, they are icons within science fiction fandom, and especially for body image, because Yvonne
yeah.
is this extremely short, round woman. And, you
Mhm.
know, Lloyd carries it really well, but at the same time, he's been overweight many times and he's had to dial it back, and then he winds up eating too much and dial it
Yeah.
back. And both of
Mhm.
them have been diagnosed with COVID, so they're both trapped in their apartment that they've been living in for all these years.
Um,
And he said, I don't know if I should feel good because I've lost so much weight being trapped and not having an appetite because of this damn virus. Should I be thanking it or
mhm.
criticizing it? And I'm like, honey, it's
Yeah.
completely up to you. But if you're thanking it because you lost weight because of a virus, you may want to
Mhm.
double check your self esteem. I know you have a lot, but it may be in a bit of short supply because of the COVID thing. So it's
Right.
really amazing when you are overweight or you are not as physical as you should be, and something like a virus says, "Wham, that's it. You're not eating." And the question is, when you get out of it, are you
Right.
going to get those cravings? Are you going to start overeating? Are you going to start? I mean, are you going to feel worse
Mhm.
after you feel better because you feel worse? I find that's been a big issue
Right.
with a lot of people too, even myself. To be able to
Mhm.
battle that. A number of years ago, I I've been swinging a sword for years and years and years, and that's been keeping my body pretty intact. The last 2 years, I haven't been able to because of circumstances, but the sooner I get back into it, the happier my
Yeah.
body's going to be. And I had a paid gig, and I wound up with such low blood pressure. Ready for this? For eating too much brown
Mm.
rice. Trying to eat gluten
Really?
free, and I ate too much brown rice, and before I knew it, everything was coming out both ends. Because you, when your blood pressure drops
Oh.
low, oh my God, yeah, I slept in the bathroom, like in the toilet, and just
Mm.
curled up on the toilet with the bathtub next to me, and this went into the bathtub, and that went into the toilet, and I felt like hell, but I still did the gig. And then afterwards, I looked at the
Mm.
photograph because at first it was like, I think I lost all this weight from being sick. I love it. And then I got a picture. I got to look
Oh.
at myself in my costume, and the costume was just like
Mm.
hanging off of me like a wet
It
rag.
was like it was like you were like an overweight like an oversized pajamas.
Yeah, and that doesn't look really good for the character. It doesn't look very physical, and it doesn't
No.
look very healthy. So I swore the next time
I
that
hear
happened,
you.
yeah, I'd put padding on so I'd look my own size. So that must be a thing too when
Mm.
you're looking at cosplayers and other people and putting up those posts and sharing those photos and trying to
Yeah.
promote people. That whole 1,001 reasons to yo-yo and feeling good no matter what size you're yo-yoing, especially since sometimes it can happen
Mm.
within a few days and other times within a few years. Do you get a lot of cosplayers and
Mm.
people on your Instagram who say, "Oh, I was really skinny, but for the wrong reason," or "I bloated up, so I don't want to share that picture with you"?
No, not always, but I do, I've had to deal with both cosplayers and just regular people in its own right. They they do. There's been a couple where they've shown me where they had a picture what they were before and how they look like now. Just to show you, just show like how things have been for them, and usually it's either been for when they've been overweight to when he's a lower size, and some have been when they were just a regular size, like a size 6, and then they grew to a size 16. So it's whatever body type makes you happy. Just because you are thin does not make you happy.
Hmm.
People need to get that out of that headpiece. Is that I'll give an example. Ashley Graham, for example, she's a plus size model. She's covered the covers of all major magazines, including Sports Illustrated, and yet she works out like a beast, and yet she's okay with the size that she is. That's what we need to realize is that you can still be fit and be happy, and you can still be at a size that fits your mold as long as you're healthy and you're happy. It doesn't matter what size you are. And with cosplayers, it's they're heroes in my book because they're they're going out into the world dressed up in as Batman, as Superman, as Aragon or Legolas, and they're looking to public and say, "This is me. This is what I love. This is who I am."
Hmm.
And a lot of people are cool with that, and there's some that will nitpick you to death about whatever your body type you are insert whatever excuse here, but you're doing it for the love. That's
Now,
what cosplay is. It's a cause to play.
we have exactly, and it's funny because when Martin and I started all this, it wasn't called cosplay. You either had your hall costumes or your competition costumes, and that was it. And you were
Mm.
geek and you were supporting your favorite medium. We have an interesting question, and again, we never know if people are serious or not. It comes from YouTube because we got the little red arrow next, asking if you are African
Mm.
American and if you're ashamed of being black. Now, considering the subject matter, I'm not sure if this person is a troll or not, but to a certain degree, we believe on at least humoring people for a few moments to find out whether they are or not they are. Now, you're a Toronto person. You're just like
Yeah.
us. You're. Are you Canadian
Mm.
or are you African American born? Are you? What is your?
I'm Canadian. I'm Canadian. I was born here. My mom is Jamaican, and my dad was Guyanese, where I was soul. So they're both of a different descent, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being Canadian. I'm proud to be black. I'm proud of, well, of who I am. I'm a geek, and that's a whole criteria in itself. So I'm cool. I'm cool with all that, and I'm cool with me.
And
So
that's
yeah.
important
So
too.
I'm from.
And that's the thing as well.
Hmm.
I've noticed that a lot of people don't let their culture stop them when it comes to playing characters. I mean, there's always the faux pas of the blackface thing, but I've seen a lot of people don
Hmm.
a lot of characters who have a mask, and underneath they're either Asian or black or
Hmm.
another culture,
Yeah.
but because the character has a mask, it's really easy to portray that character. So I'm assuming you're fine with that as well, and it's a positive thing all around.
Yeah, I believe that as the way I see it is this. With when it comes to certain things like blackface, it's a very difficult slope to go with, especially especially when that character is of an African descent or dark skinned. But the
Hmm.
way I see it is, it's not the skin that you usually have to worry about. It's the character itself that you have to portray, because there's a lot of people who are black that play want to play either their favorite anime character who are Asian, or they like to play a superhero like Superman, for example, who happens to be the Clark Kent version, who's white. That doesn't mean they shouldn't play that character. It's because who they love the character. They do it because they love the character, and there's something about them that makes them feel good, that makes them feel powerful, that makes them feel confident.
See,
And
and that's
I don't see a problem with that.
that's what I love about your Instagram. When I stumbled on it, there doesn't seem to be the heavy restrictions that a lot of people are putting on
Hmm.
their own selves, and it's just like, to me, it's like, don't worry about it. We had one person a couple weeks ago, um, was upset, and we were on another person's broadcast, and they were
Hmm.
upset because their friend did a black and white puppy dog. So it was black
Okay.
makeup, and they had the white patch here, and they had the white patch on their necks, type
Hmm.
thing. And
Yeah.
they got called out as being blackface, but they obviously had the floppy ears, and the friend was no longer allowed in some of the cosplay groups. So she was getting a hold of
Yeah.
me to ask if it was okay if her friend posts some pictures. And I said, unfortunately, we have to stay within our parameters, because if we post everyone's pictures all the time, no matter who or what they're doing,
Hmm.
we're not. And I sent them in your direction. I sent them in the direction of a couple other people, to see if they can get some positive energy up. And she freaked out. And I thought, you know, part of me is like, why are you being so sensitive? Just take a deep breath. And part of me is like, you've been bitten way too many times, haven't you? This is not the first thing that's happened to you. And it's horrible, because
Yeah.
then they'll never even find profiles like yours. We can send them, but they're hiding. So would you like to say something, for maybe if those people see this broadcast, say something to them so they'll stop hiding?
Okay. Well, all right. So whoever was watching this podcast, listen to me very carefully, because this is speaking from the heart. You should be able to cosplay whoever you want, whatever color you are, no matter what race you are. And I believe that that is something that you should be able to be proud of. Now, should you do blackface? No, I recommend not doing that at all. But you're doing a puppy, or if you're cosplaying as an Asian character and you're black, keep your skin tone, because that's who you are. But you're portraying the character that you love. And I am cool with any person that wants to come into my Instagram, Body Heroes, or you can do, since I'm now a Hapster, you could also be able to contact me via Hapster. We'd be more than happy to get it, because it's all positivity and love here. That's the way I see it.
Mhm. And the same with height and weight, and culture
Hmm.
isn't just the only thing. The whole
No,
height and weight thing is a huge, and that's more common, even more so than culture. You know, I
yeah,
fortunately have always picked
agreed.
characters that suit my skin tone, partially because I don't like doing a lot of
Hmm.
makeup. At one time, I did Acacian, which is the Star Trek universe,
Hmm.
based on Maress, the little lioness Cation in the original animated.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got the big wig, and I did the ears, but I had to get
Ooh.
my skin tone into this kind of orangey color, and the amount of makeup I had
Mm.
to use. that I gave up once I
Yeah.
got my hands and my legs. I did tights,
Yeah.
found tights, and I did gloves. And just the
Hmm.
outfit was so covering all my skin that I overheated so quickly. And it was just crazy. And
Oh,
that's what I said. You know what? Unless you're paying me, I'm not doing that character again. I did it a couple times. It was just like, no, done. Just done. Just too much. Just way too much. And of course, Martin and I decided to do reboot one year. So I did Dawn.
mhm.
So all the blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, didn't I learn my lesson the first time?
Well, well, you always you always try to go outside your comfort zone, which is why you were trying to do that, and that's a good thing. Doing positivity is just doing something that normally you would never do, and you find more confidence in that. Now you trying to do makeup on that was difficult, but but we're kind of sometimes that happens. But I'm like wanting to do, like, for example, you do that. I'm planning on doing a Batman samurai,
Woo!
and Batman is white. Now you see it, and I'm a huge Batman fan. It's his strength of will and is amazing to go the distance without superpowers that makes him such a formidable character, and that's why I love him. But because I'm black, that means I shouldn't cosplay Batman? No, I should be able to cosplay him and honor the man and still be responsible for my who I am. So that it's good to love yourself, but it's also good to be responsible. And I still want to do it, and I'm not letting anybody stop me. Now, my skin tone, I'm going to keep it as it is. I'm just going to keep me as being me. But I'm making sure that, hey, that's Batman, and they get it. So that's what I'm going to try and do. It
And
shouldn't matter, and it doesn't.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We had a friend of ours back in Seattle who did
Hmm.
the Panther, like a Black Panther. And again, because of the mask and everything and the gloves, and he disappears underneath. But
Yeah.
he really felt kind of spiritually connected to it all. So he spent the whole time in
Nice.
the mask, and no one knew he wasn't black. And everyone treated him like the character, and they did the whole, and they just, and it was beautiful. And then after he got the mask off in private,
Hmm.
you just saw him beam. I mean, he just felt so filled with everyone's energy and so happy about it, and it made me happy.
Yeah.
It made me really happy. And I don't think that we should put these limits and wait. I have seen some really, really, really large Wonder Women, who are just like,
Hmm.
they manage to move everything so you can still see all the details, and they place it according to their
Hmm.
bodies. And I look at them and I'm like, you are awesome and incredible, because there was a time in my life where I wouldn't even do that, and I'm still half your size. And I still look in the
Hmm.
mirror and see this thing when I should see this, you know, and it's hard. And
Beautiful.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are. I mean, you're a knockout. I mean, otherwise, one of the things that makes you so awesome is you're a badass in your own right, and that in itself is a Wonder Woman in many cases. I did a Speaking of Wonder Woman, I did a post where I interviewed 5 different women, all different body types,
Ooh,
all different looks, but they all love Wonder Woman in their own way.
awesome.
One was African American. One was my sister, and she's about 5'4". I have another person that was about six. She's about 6'2", 6'3", and I had another woman who was from Vegas, and she was about 6 foot, and she's very voluptuous. She's a very beautiful woman, and
Right.
they all have different ways of how they portray Wonder Woman. But in all, it's all the same thing. It's all about attitude. It's about beauty that's inside yourself. It's about compassion, drive, and the willingness to do something. And those 5 women I basically posted up, and they all gave their tones of that Wonder Woman is a state of mind. It's not how you look like,
Yeah.
and and it just proves that just how awesome every person is. And with and the way I know that International Women's Day is coming up very shortly
Oh,
within
that's
the
right.
next few weeks, which I always call it International Wonder Woman Day because that's basically showing them that women are just going out being showing exactly who they are, 100% grade A badass.
See, and that's one of the things that Martin and I try to teach people. And because Martin and I are so different from each other, when I first met him, the first time he took off his shirt because we went, we were at the beach, and he was so hesitant to take off his shirt because we were still dating. And
Mm,
I was like, no, just take it off. And you could see, you could literally, he had so little body fat because his metabolism was so overactive, and he wasn't eating food that could stay in his body. He was eating food that just flushes
yeah.
through his body. And Martin just sent me a text message saying beautiful. So I assume, I hope he's talking about what you're talking about, because, yeah, um, probably very frustrated right
I
now
think so.
about him. So, um, but he was so hesitant. When he finally took off that shirt, I looked at him and I said, "You're just not
Mm,
eating the right food. You're not getting the right exercise. You're not eating the right food, so you're not able to build
mm,
muscle on your body. You're metabolizing it too fast." So I had to kind
yeah.
of teach him how to eat, and I think in that way I became too much of a mother and had to dial back at one point and say, "You're on your own, Mister." But especially when I was in California, because he
Mm,
was still up here in Toronto, so he had to eat on his
yeah.
own, and I was in Cali where the food was
Right.
cheaper and healthier, so I had an unfair advantage. But yeah, he eventually worked up some muscle, and now he's getting the dad gut, but he's not a dad, so I'm going
Mm,
to retrain him the moment we get up a space where we can start working with the swords, and I'm going to retrain him because he hasn't fought with a weapon against me in so long, in like a good, geez, I don't know, 20, 25 years at least. So it's going to be interesting
uh-huh.
handing him back a steel blade and going, "Here, so how do your muscles feel now?" It's like, it's true. No matter what body
That's
type you
that.
are, no matter what body type you are, no matter who you are, you've got
Mhm.
to just access the things and make them work, because your body's there for a reason, right? You got to make it work. You just got to make it work.
Exactly.
And
There's,
I used to take on a lot of different actors, and it was like, I'm going to train you, I'm going to bring you forward, I'm going to lift you up, and you don't
mm,
exactly look the way I need for the character, and then they get on the blades, and then they would be talking, they'd be all talk, and then they would just
mm.
screw up so badly and become so dangerous. And it's like, no, I can't. I've got to take that sword away from you. You can't have this character anymore. And they were like, "Oh, it's because I'm
Yeah.
fat." No, it's because your muscles aren't talking to you. I don't care what size you
Mm,
are. Your muscles aren't moving. You're dangerous. Go home, eat right, stretch those
mm,
muscles, then come back to me when you're okay. No, it's because I'm fat. No, just, oh, people, just get it out of your head. Things are reality. There actually is a reality amongst this insanity. And it's been
yeah.
so difficult to say to
Yeah.
people. One of the first masquerades Martin and I was judges for was Anime North
Yeah.
1.
Mm,
And there was an entry that had, she had Princess, like from Battle of the Planets. So all,
oh, that's amazing. Love that.
yeah. So
Mwah.
she did the wings and she did the helmet, and Martin and I are like
Mm,
major flashback to childhood and just loving every minute of it. But we couldn't give her an award because she was in the novice category, and there's always a lot of people in the novice category, and I mean a lot. And you're only allowed to give out X number of awards. You can't just give them all awards. So we
mhm.
had to basically judge against her because there were better. And she
Yeah.
came up to us, she cornered us in the halls, and she was all upset. And she's like, "It's because I'm fat and Princess isn't." I said, "No, honey, it's because you bought Lycra that was so damn skinny and wore black underwear. We saw everything.
Oh.
Go get yourself
Oh.
white underwear or a mesh little jumpsuit thing underneath in order to distract the eye, and you'll look great in that outfit. But you obviously put the effort into it. But your problem was not your weight. Your problem was you wore black underwear and chose really thin lycra. We could see everything the second the
Mm.
stage lights were on you, honey. It just no. No, come compete again. Like come to the next convention, compete again, and wear white underwear, and we'll judge you differently. I was like,
Good.
"Gee,
But
what's
I
that?"
also when you had to break it down for her, and you were saying it's not because you're fat, it's because what you're wearing is way too revealing and not based on the character you're trying to portray. So that was being responsible and being smart. And so and I think that this woman's been burned about because she may be overweight, and that was her first instinct, would be defensive and saying that, oh, it's because I'm fat, isn't it? That's the first thing that she went with. And I assume that she's gotten through a lot of situations where her weight might be an issue, but it shouldn't be with cosplay as long as you're doing it right. You know, I mean, I've seen people who dress amazing and are, they're size 16. There's a girl that I talked to, Stephanie, who does amazing makeup. She's fantastic. She recently did an Ice Queen cosplay that she just recently posted, and it looked absolutely gorgeous. She's a wonderful badass, and the fact that she's a size 16 doesn't matter. But she portrayed the character. She had the look. She did it. She did it, man. And it's like, wow. I'm I just had to applaud her and say, wow, you look amazing. And one of the things with positivity that when I start interviewing all these different people, it's it's the stories that they have from where they were to where they got to where they are now. If you look at them from a cosplay standpoint, you would know that they've had to deal with PTSD. You would know that they've had to deal with body dysphoria. You would know that because of the size of what their body is, they've had scarring on the sides of their back that they had to deal with. And this is both people that are plus size and people who are thin. And it's like, and yet they're willing to put themselves out there to portray their favorite hero or their favorite villain or their favorite anti-hero or a mixture of the two because they love themselves enough to go with these characters and be able to portray the characters that they love. That to me is that I get to see not only the hero that they're trying to portray, but the person that is the hero inside them already.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible.
And
And
mm,
we've had a lot of like, I mean, Martin not so much, but the problem with being a female
mm,
is I've had a lot of people come up and go, "Oh, you're lucky you're skinnier than me," or "You're lucky you're prettier than me," or "You're lucky." I mean, when I used to do Deanna
oh,
Troy for all the Paramount gigs, I always
mm,
had such a hard time. I had one woman come up to me because, of course, Deanna Troy's got the cleavage outfits of hers, and we were out doing
yes.
a promo at a mall, and Paramount hired me,
Mm,
which I always thought was interesting because I'm not Marina's body, but apparently I pulled off the character just fine. And this chick walked right up
mm.
to me and looked at me and said, "You're the reason why my husband is not attracted to me." And I'm like, "What? Sorry?"
Oh,
And she's like, "You're better looking than
oh
me. You've got a
no.
push-up bra on. You've got this. You've got this. You've got this." And I'm like, "Okay, but I'm not married to your husband."
Mm,
"Well, he watches Star Trek all the
right.
time." "Okay." "And you wear these V-neck outfits. Your character is always every character is like sex symbol." I'm like, "Okay." "So that's why he's not interested in
Hmm.
me." Honey, maybe you should sit down and have a personal conversation with him because I really don't think it's body. And if it is, you're married to a very shallow man. You need to go out and fix this
Yeah.
now. Not take it out on me, a fellow
Yeah.
woman, but go out and fix it.
Hmm.
So do you have the same kind of experiences where you're seeing women criticizing women more than men criticizing men?
Um, Yes. When it comes to when it comes to that, I have seen where where it's from a guy's perspective. Um, like they say, from a guy's perspective, they don't look like Chris Evans from Captain America. They don't look like Thor, Chris Hemsworth look, but and some guys and get jealous of that. Some girls are jealous because they don't look like Scarlett Johansson, or they don't look like or they don't look like Lupita Nyong'o, who plays Nikita from Black Panther, or whatever. But you remember, they have to remember this is a fictional character. Yet they have to realize this, like, you're being you're you're being against from a fictional character. It's okay to be jealous, but but it when you takes over you,
Mhm.
that's when it's a problem. And that's something that the person has to deal with in themselves. It's nothing to do with, it's not like Loxana Troy. It's nothing to do with Captain America. It has nothing to do with Black Panther. It has nothing to do with any fictional character. Like, for example, when I my wife and we watch when we watch Supernatural, she swoons over Dean Winchester, and I laugh. I laugh sometimes because like going, "Why are you laughing?" It's like, you ladies always get pissed off when it comes to guys looking at girls in bikinis. Yet when you go see Dean Winchester, I have to hand you a hose because just to wash you down. So it's really, for when it comes to that, every person has a hang up. You look like who you look like, and and it's difficult. But it's no different than, like a person who's tall. They're thinking, I wish I was shorter. And same thing is like a woman who's short say, man, I wish I was tall. Guys are the same thing. And she says, you know what? I'm not. You know what? I don't look like. I don't look like Jason Momoa from Aquaman, and women are swooning over him. But you know what? I'm good at what the size that I have. It's okay. Is it okay to be jealous? Sure. It's part of human nature. But when it takes over you and you can't have a sense of responsibility of taking care of yourself, of your own self worth, that's the problem. Because they're thinking that they're so interested in what someone else is thinking that you have to look what's in yourself, and that's the whole thing.
Well, and Harold's saying, my character. Yes, I do. Chill is actually an incredible Klingon. There were a number of gigs that I couldn't bring him in as a paid gig because he would always wear things like his Ronald McDonald House and all his charitable organization stuff on his costume. But when we actually did Paramount gigs, we
Mm,
couldn't do things like that. We had to be to the specification. But he was great for all the volunteer stuff, and
right.
there were some paid gigs where people did look the other way, and I had him out for those all the time. But he always had an incredible character. I do darken my skin tone as a Klingon would be, right from TOS. I did mine based on Michael
Right.
Dorn. I never had anyone say anything negative. I drop into and out of character depending on the audience near me. And he's right. He always darkened his skin, and it
Mm,
really suited him.
mm,
And I think part of it is because he's so big, you would almost
mm.
believe he was, either black or anything that's tribal. Like he has such a presence once he's in that costume, and then he goes all nice and soft
Hmm.
and cuddly to the kids. So in my mind, I think because Harold never got any criticism, I think a lot of it had to do with how he was able to switch between that big guy with dark skin and then a Klingon forehead.
Hmm.
And I'm going to talk to you now,
Yeah.
child. The constant switching back and forth created such an image that no one noticed the color of the makeup,
Hmm.
but it looked damn good in
Yeah,
photos.
they saw. Yeah, it was the person that's inside the Klingon that made it unconscious, because he was portraying the role of the character he was playing, but when he's with the kids, he's going to be himself, and that shows out no matter what cosplay you do. And I think that's a very cool thing. I remember when I was playing Luke Cage, and my friend of mine was playing Green Arrow. We were doing a Marvel versus DC cosplay, like a whole big group. There was a little kid who was from Asia who was very, very shy and very, very short. He was a little scared of all the people that were running around in costume, and my friend and I went over to him, and I had my hood on. I took my hood off, and I looked him dead in his eyes, like, how are you? He said, hi. He says,
Oh,
do you know who I am? He says, you're Luke Cage. I was like, yes, I am. I see you have a hood on. Yes, yeah. And it says, you want to put your hood on? Really? Uh-huh. Us heroes with hoods have to stick together. And then he puts the hood on. I put the hood on, and my friend who was Green Arrow put his hood on, and he took a picture with it. And that just shows you just that. And when I did that, it's like that's the reason why I cosplay. That's the reason why. That's pretty cool.
oh, I feel the same way. Um, with me,
because it's cool to see.
well, I always love doing Troy for that reason, and I've never found a
Mhm.
character that I couldn't, I couldn't connect on one level or another, even though they're different. I always thought when I decided to do Maleficent, I thought that was going to be my biggest problem maker because I'm not as tall as Angelina
Oh,
Jolie, and my weight goes up and down because I'm obviously not having a very graceful perimenopause to menopausal. So, my weight and my
mhm.
skin and everything, one moment it's fine, the next it isn't. And I'm constantly scared of what my body will settle on and how many of the things I'm making in the past 10 years is not going to fit me anymore, or,
Yeah,
be awkward or stuff. So, a part of the reason why I did Maleficent is because we wanted to take on the challenge of the mechanical wings, and we chose the gray green flowy dress. So it didn't matter if my weight went up or
oh
down; it was
yes.
underneath all these layers of fabric. So I didn't have to try to
Hmm.
retailor it every time. I didn't have to try to adjust it. It could just stay what it is, no matter what my weight
Hmm.
did. And
Right.
eventually my hormones will settle, and I'll actually start making things tailored again. But until then,
Yeah.
all my characters have got safety features. Um, but
for safety first, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason.
I've only had it happen once. Only once while I was in Wench, I took a big breath, and this bosom decided to say hello. Um,
Oh.
and it was like, oh, you don't
Whoops.
belong there. Can I get you back in? Yeah, that's when I learned how to size a corset or a bodice without, yeah, saying hello. So, yeah, it's been quite the adventure. But I thought Maleficent is going to be everyone's just going to love the wings, and that's it. And I'm right to a certain degree.
Yeah.
People see the wings open and close, and they're like, oh, and I disappear. Yeah, and of course, people who want
Yeah.
to get a close up look at the wings, you know, Martin's
Hmm.
behind, so everyone's like, "Hey, Martin built those all on his own." He didn't, but I'm in front, so I can't talk to them over my own wings. But I've only had a couple people come up to me and say, "You don't look enough like Angela Jolie," and it's like, "Yeah, but I got awesome wings." Okay, look, love my wings. I don't care if you love me.
See,
Love my wings. And
exactly. There it is. That's perfect.
but the kids, oh my god, they don't give a damn. You know, there was this
Yeah.
little teeny tiny. This was Emerald City Comic Con again. A little teeny weeny tiny
Mm,
Maleficent done in the animated version. So all the black and green with the pointed,
yeah.
hood piece, and she had a
Yes.
staff with a skull on the top of it as her staff, and she stood
Hmm.
at a distance as everyone came up to get pictures with Martin and I. And she was just
Yeah.
scared. You could see she couldn't move. She just couldn't move. And the wings were open for some pictures, and the wings were closed. And I noticed every time my wings opened or closed, she was just like, and she just couldn't breathe. And I was with we had our photographer
Yeah.
with us at the time. We had a Seattle photographer who did a lot of work with us, and he'd show up at the conventions, and we do photo shoots and everything. And so
Yeah.
Joe basically walked out in front of everyone. And I thought, what we've already done, we always do the formal photo shoots first. And then we go walking around the con. Because there's no way we'll ever get to a formal photo shoot if we walk around the con first. And
Right.
he stood in the middle of everyone and said, no one come near them. And I'm like, Joe, what are you doing? And he looked over at her and said, "You here now." And he looked over at the mother and said, "Do you mind if I take some pictures?" And the mother's like, "Please, she's got such low self esteem. Can you send me copies?" And Joe's like, "Yeah, sure. No problem. I'll send her copies. I won't charge her anything. It's just, this is too sweet. I've been watching your daughter this whole time." And she came up and she stood
Yeah.
next to me and she's just like, the whole, and I'm like, honey, little beastie, my dear, dear little beastie, you have to look at the cameras. You really have to look forward.
Oh,
And she's just like,
that is so cute.
so I eventually reached and I took her little staff from her and I hid it behind her and I took my nice full size Maleficent staff and I
Yeah,
handed it to her. And
that's
she's like,
sweet.
"Are you sure?" I said, "We've got to have some proper pictures." And she just, I've got photos of her like holding on to my staff for dear life, trying not to drop it. She's like,
Oh,
"You're right. We have to do it
that
for
is
them.
so beautifully sweet.
We have to do it for them.
Yes.
You know."
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got
You
like,
do it for yourself, but you do it for them too.
exactly. But you've been to tons of conventions by now, I'm sure.
Oh, I've been to conventions over the past what 20 years of my life. I've only started cosplaying for the last year, really, like year and a half. But I've always gone to every convention I could get my hands on, and I love every cosplay that shows up. There was one person that was dressed up as Maleficent, and her wings would expand. And then there was another girl who was about 12, and she was dressed up as Maleficent, but with her brown gown and the wings. It was like Maleficent and Little Maleficent all in the same picture, and they took a picture together in a really dramatic pose, and it was so
Which,
amazing. And that's the
hold on,
reason
which
why I did.
convention was this? Which year?
Yeah, it was here. It was at Fan Expo 2008, 2019. I will send you a picture of it when I get a
Honey,
chance.
that's me. Okay.
It was a different Maleficent. Trust me on this. But I will send you a picture, and it was so sweet. It was, and
Well,
when you told me that story, it's like, oh,
we can
my
drag and
heart.
drop pictures in Haps, which I love. The ability to be able to do that.
Hmm.
So let me do
Right.
this, and let's see
Okay.
if this is the same little girl you're talking about.
Okay.
Ah, this is, I love the fact that Haps kind of works as an OBS in many ways.
Yeah.
A lot you can do with it that you can't do with other apps, which makes me totally completely happy. So I'm scrolling through my Instagram, scrolling, because that was quite a while ago. You're right. Where,
Hmm.
but you're going to tell me if the little girl's the same because I know there were three or four other Maleficents. I did miss out on a
Yeah.
bunch of them because I went up in a different direction. Martin and I thankfully
Yeah.
got together with the big Disney group. That was fun, being part of the big group photo.
Oh,
uh, they're like, "Oh, your
cool.
wings take up too much image," and I said, "No, too much space." And I'm like, "I'll open them up and I'll go in the very, very back in the middle. That way, the wings will be
Mm.
behind you guys." "Oh, but they'll be covered." I said, "That or I'm upstaging you." "Oh, okay, you can go in the back." It's like, yeah, you're Disney. Yeah, you're Disney,
That's what
baby.
happens when you have a group photos. That happens.
Yeah, and
But
there's
yeah,
a
I
there's a
when it
lot of
comes,
when it comes.
mhm.
Keep going. Yeah, you were saying when it comes.
All right, okay. So the way I see it, when it comes to when it comes to either with anything in life, well, no matter what you're doing, whether it's being a musician, whether it's doing cosplays, whether you're being an artist, whether you're being a writer, there's so much that you should always enjoy, and you shouldn't there's a difference between getting constructive criticism from someone and someone being downright mean. And instead of people just just hating on someone because they're messing with something, it maybe they should try to um, spend less time worrying about other people and taking care of themselves. Have you ever seen the movie Wanted?
Yes.
Yes, there's that scene where the lady is talking to the guy in the computer, James McAvoy's character, and he says something that was very, very powerful when he was really upset. He looked her dead in the eye and he says, "I know that things were tough for you in high school, but uh, just because it was tough for you doesn't mean you to act like an ass."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's true. Just because you've had a bad life doesn't mean it gives you the right to hurt anyone else. And that's what a lot of people do when they're saying these mean tweets that, you know what, you suck, or if I was in, but it was I would, if you were in dropping an acid, I wouldn't care about what happens to you, or you'd be wifey material if you were short enough. Ooh, yes, the girl on the far left, the shorter one, was the girl that I saw, um, and she was talking to another friend of mine, Julia, who was dressed up in a black Maleficent character. But yeah, that's the girl on the left is the shorter one. That's the girl.
Her father and I
That's
had so much fun with his daughter. She
oh,
was
she's
just
she's
on.
amazing.
She is, she is. I know I have a few other pictures.
Yeah.
Her father, it took her father about a month or two after the convention because we didn't have a photographer in the convention. We had a photographer outside to do some formal pictures, but when Martin and I went into the convention itself, we didn't have our own photographer, so we had to find the pictures of her and
Right.
I. And we just picked on Martin mercilessly. It was just Stefan was going to go down. And she was like, "Are you sure I can point this
Yeah.
out at him?" And I'm like, "Go, honey. Just go. Just keep pointing it at him. Everything's fine." And she was just her father and her just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. She was so adorable.
and Yaz and Yaz is in the house. Hey, Yazin, how are you, sir? Hope St. Petersburg is great for you. Hope you're not dealing with so much of the snow issue we're having all around now.
Yeah. I mean, when I first met Martin, he was
Yeah.
he was extremely insecure. And I mean
Yeah.
extremely insecure. And he
Hmm.
didn't think he could do anything or be anything, and he just locked himself in this little bubble, and it's just like, no, honey, just relish in the character. Remember, when we're in character, it's that whole don't believe your own press. You get in the cosplay,
Right.
you go out, you do the character. You still have to be careful because you're in public. If your character is an ass, be a
Hmm.
gentle version of being an ass, or you're going to get arrested. Things like that. But
Exactly.
deep down
Exactly.
inside,
I
just
mean, you can dress
superhero.
up as Deadpool, but it doesn't mean you start swinging around a katana, or can you? In certain situations, you have to be respectful, and still you have to be a lovable ass.
Hmm. Lovebug, Martin is, well, we divided and conquered, and he wound up with the car, and the weather is not friendly. So instead of him trying to rush back in this weather, he stayed elsewhere to friends. He can drive in the snow. It's just going to take so long that he'd miss it anyway. So he's comfortably tucked away and hopefully having some food. Don't know, but yeah, that's I went on anyway because, well, Mother Nature's going to do her thing, and we still have to find a new place, so we're not turning down any viewings. So yeah, that's where Martin is, Lubbock. You love that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's you got to be careful. I don't know if you did you ever hear about the guy? I think it was in Atlanta, if I remember correctly, who came in
Okay.
as Punisher and his weapons were real.
Yeah. It was totally, he came in with a bunch of real ammunition in the States, and he was going to take it to a convention. uh, that did not sit well, and so he was turned back because of what happened, and it caused a lot of people to not start bringing guns to
Well,
certain conventions,
this was the
or
guy
if they
who
were,
actually,
they were making sure that it'd be accounted for.
well, this was the guy who actually was going to kill one of the actors uh,
Yes.
from what was it, the Green Power Ranger, and he bragged to
Hmm.
someone online that that's what he was going to do. So that's
Hmm.
how they got him, and they actually took him out. And yeah, that was a huge, huge deal. We used to run a panel again. It's a panel I'd like to do again, but when conventions start up. But we used to run a panel, and for some reason, I don't see the appropriate video because we had ran a panel called "Everything's a Weapon," and we always started the panel with video footage of the newscast of this guy. And I'm looking
Yeah.
on my computer right now, and I do not see it. So I think I've moved it into archive for now because of the whole COVID thing. I needed memory space on my
Oh,
computer. But if you do a search online,
right.
you'll find him, and on YouTube. And the guy is just a psycho. He stood in front of a judge and had his eyes were blank and had absolutely no idea what he was talking about or what he did. He just did it. His brain said this guy
Yeah.
must die, and that was that.
Yeah.
And
And
he stood in front of a
yeah.
judge and went, "Well, yeah, of course I was going to kill him." Great, dude.
Yeah.
You're not
there,
helping
there was
cosplay
even
yourself.
yeah, it takes just one person that's crazy like that to just ruin it for everybody. Because I mean, if my character has to bring a gun, I'm bringing a gun, but I'm bringing it like a pop gun or something, or replica, and this ruins it for everybody. In that it's the same thing with people coming to conventions just so they can heckle other people. Some people have some weird fetishes, and some of them is just like, oh, we're gonna heckle this girl because she's looking like Black Cat and she doesn't have the body type, or oh, we're gonna get over him because he's trying to look like Superman, but he's nowhere near it. I mean, he's 5 foot. Some people got some serious issues up here. I think that, and a lot of people, when it comes to mean tweets um, or trolls of that nature, it's because they have low self esteem. They can't. They could say all the things about what you're doing, Christina, but if if they spent more time taking care of themselves and instead of doing what you're doing, they would probably be in the same situation you are now and enjoying their life. You know, that's the
Hmm.
way I see it. If you have low self esteem because you're at a place where they can't, because they can't do what you do. They can't make costumes. They can't make certain things, or if they can, they can't make it as good as you can. And when they get, instead of saying all these mean things about you, how about asking that person, how did you make that character? How did you make that prop gun, or how did you make that whole costume? But it's too hard because your ego or your self-esteem just can't allow that.
Well,
And
we
that's
deal
real,
with
and
that a
that's not
lot.
bad, and that's the other thing.
We get people who
Yeah.
come to our panels, and Martin and I have this rule with our panels that's very different from other panels, and that's we plow through. There's just too much information to
Mm,
fit in an hour. So sometimes
yeah.
we'll get a 2 or 3 hour panel, or we'll meet them outside in the hallway so they can get a close look at things. Because we're always in cosplay when we're paneling. There's been a few times like when we
Mm,
judge, we tend not to dress up because by the end of the day, you don't, to sit there and watch Masquerade and be in the judging process. It's a long, exhausting process. And to stay in costume for
mm,
that is just too much at times. Katrina, I put a link
yeah.
to one of the primary newscasts when it happened. It was about 3 years ago. But there you go. It was a Phoenix Comic Con, and ABC 15 had the best coverage, and there's a few other news reports as well, but that one was the one. This is the coverage I used for all of the panels, because they went
Yeah.
away out of their way to talk to other cosplayers about how they felt about a cosplayer doing this and limiting their artistic expression. So it's a nice little report.
Right.
So there's the link. You can click on it and watch it. But it was quite the experience, for the cosplayers at the convention. And Phoenix is a huge convention. It's massive. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to police something like this. The fact that he got in the
Hmm.
first place is amazing. Um, but yeah, so I lost track because now I'm looking at the footage, going, oh yeah. Now I'm distracted. I can't watch. But yeah, it's damn. Where was I?
Well, we got off track about talking about the convention, especially the Phoenix convention you were at when you were in. But let's bring it back to what we were talking about, and
Yes, please.
that is no matter what are you, it doesn't matter what you are doing in life, someone's going to critique you for it.
That's right.
But
Um,
are and you can't please everybody, but
no,
as
you
long
can't.
as you please yourself.
But
Oh,
the
go
lonelier
ahead.
you get and the more isolated, which it worries me about the whole COVID thing too. When we come out of this, what's that going to do with the conventions? Because we already have a lot of people.
I don't
We
know.
only have done two conventions where we had no responsibilities whatsoever, and it was because
Right.
friends wanted us to relax, so they paid for the conventions for us to go. One of them was right after we had our renewal of vows in 2001,
Hmm.
and we were going to be moving to BC soon. So everyone pitched together and
Hmm.
got a hotel room for us because we weren't going to do ConCom because we didn't know when we were going.
Yeah.
We could have been just before
Yeah.
Toronto Trek. It could be the same weekend as Toronto Trek. It could be months later. We didn't know. We had to find out if Earth Final Conflict was going another season, or if we were staying or whatever. So it was up in the air. And friends said, "That's it. We're going to make sure that you go to this convention. You've been dedicated for years." And we had no panels
Yeah.
and we had no ConCom, and Martin and I still had to get in the costume because, well, we feel comfortable in costume at a convention. And we're sitting there
Of
and we
course.
didn't get a moment's peace. I was more exhausted at the end of that convention than the ones where I have a
Wow.
job to do. Because being in
Jeez.
front of that audience, even the criticizers, even the people who hate your guts, even the people who yell out the stupidest things in the middle of your panel, you're still got that
Yeah.
audience. You still got those peoples. You still got your friends. And you can just keep
Hmm.
going and going and going on that energy. And
Yeah.
we'd go out into the halls afterwards. That's right, because we don't take questions. And we've had some people go, "Why aren't you taking questions?" Because we plow through. If you want more detail,
Hmm.
come out into the hallway, and if we get a chance, we'll talk. But this is our industry. This is what we do for a living.
Yep.
We want to share with you. We
Hmm.
want to encourage you. We want to inspire you. But we can't spend 5 days on just you trying to convince you that you can make something if you've already convinced yourself
Hmm.
you can't. Hire us.
Hmm.
We'll give you a discount if you do half of it. We'll do the other half. It just, I have no problems
There you go.
encouraging you, but don't get nasty with me. Don't get pissy.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, this is Katrina says, "I'd love to see you both at Phoenix Fan Fusion. I've yet to go to Phoenix Con, and I do hope that things get better and we all get to do conventions because the con to me is like a family reunion of sorts.
well,
It's like seeing old friends and meeting new friends.
this is what's scaring Martin and I right now because we've already been talking to a lot of the organizers, and they wholeheartedly admit that because of the financial loss, like I mean, they can get some money from the government in some cases, or they can get money from sponsors in some cases, but it's not going to be as much as they got before. So they've already told Martin and I that there's a good chance that they won't be inviting us because they can
Okay.
only budget this many guests and they have to be the lead guests. They can't
Right.
budget this many guests, the leads and people like ourselves. So unless we can afford to come
Right.
of our own accord, they're not inviting us, this next year. And I'm just sitting here going,
Hmm.
holy crap, I've been doing this since 1985. No, 84. In 1984 was my first
Wow.
convention. And to go another year because we've gone from being guests to nothing. That's just like it's so surreal for
It's
Martin and I. We still haven't processed it. We still haven't figured out how to
it's
process it.
scary.
Yeah, yeah. So we've been
Yeah.
telling people if someone wants to sponsor us, I mean, cover our gas and we'll stay down 2 extra days and I don't know, maybe help you with your project or something like that, or do something in return as a thank
Yeah.
you, or if you got a small business, we'll advertise or we'll wear your stuff on a day-to-day basis, or I really don't
Mm.
know. But the thought of going another year simply because we're a
Without a
name, but
con.
we're not the name, and COVID's financially
Yeah.
hit these guys. I Martin and I are pretty scared. You know, um, I don't think people realize how much of this whole world of conventions is part of our identity. Like we met at a con. Martin got his confidence boost at conventions. If it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be the prop maker he is.
Yeah.
He does thank me
Yeah.
every once in a while and reminds me that he thanks me every once in a while, which is a typical male thing to do, but that's okay. And you know, it's it's not the thank yous. It's not the where did you get it from, so to speak. It's not a There isn't an obligation. A lot of our mundane friends or in family are, oh, you feel so obligated to something that's just a hobby. It's a whole freaking
Yeah.
identity. Same with Renaissance
Mm.
festivals. The thought of
I
another
mean,
year without a Ren Fest. I mean, I've been itching to go down to the Maryland Renaissance Festival, which was our first one, not Ontario. Maryland is
yeah.
considered in our
Yeah.
heart our home festival, and we've been itching since we got
Hmm.
back. But then COVID happened, and we haven't been yet, and
Right.
that's just killing me.
Yeah.
You know, I know all the
Yeah.
stages
I
off by
mean,
heart. I know the property off by heart.
yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
I get it because it's like it's crazy for everybody. I mean, last year we were planning. My wife and I were planning to go do our geek traveling, and we were going to go to Egypt, and then we were going to go to we were going to go back to Thailand because Thailand's our second home. We would go there and we would enjoy each other. We would have a great time, and now everything's on hold. And for you, it's not just your identity. It's the way you live. It's your life. It's your livelihood. It's who you are. It's your identity, like you said. And to not have that as part of identity is it's eating at you, and it's eating at everybody. They're trying to find different ways to get themselves involved into that in that life and still be able to cosplay or still be able to make their props and still make some sort of profit off of it, or
Well, and
just trying to enjoy life as they did before. It's tough.
that's why we're doing these HAPS activities. It's going to be really hard because we have
Mm,
to bring our self-esteem back up before we can even get on it and
yes.
engage everyone else. But we're doing the Lord of the Rings one on Sunday, and it's a $5 sponsorship, which is really not that much, or a $5 reward. And we'll write you
Yeah.
into the Lord of the Rings story. But if you don't want to be written in, it's free. We're hoping to get a lot of tips that
Right.
day so that we can, because it costs money every time we put the ears on, every time we put the costumes on. And there was a time where we didn't
Mhm.
care about that. But because it went from being this sideline to being a major part of our life, where the money started
Mhm.
happening in it, and plus having the entertainment industry career, and that's been drastically affected. I think if one more person says to me,
Right.
I see productions around town, why aren't you employed? Because not every department is employed. It's easier
Right.
for them on their budget, especially because of COVID and things have gone over budget now with less people that they can have
Mhm.
on set. They're struggling hard, so they're working less people more times because they're not allowed to have 20
Mhm.
people in building a set now. They're only allowed to have five. And that takes
Right.
a week and a half to 2 weeks to build that set, whereas before 20 of us would have it up in 3 days. So not all of us are as employed as you would think. It just isn't. The business is still
Right. It's
intact,
just
but a lot of us aren't.
it's yeah.
You're not going to order new props. You're going to modify the old ones so that you don't have to spend more budget.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Right.
they're not ordering like mad, and they're only going to the big houses. And Martin and I in Toronto are not the big houses. We were big game,
Right.
then we moved to BC and became big game there. But now that we've moved back, other people have stepped in and filled our spaces. So we're now at the bottom of the list again, and it just
Hmm.
COVID is not helping. So we're doing these things, and we hope that we can get
Hmm.
enough sponsors and stuff that we can feed our hearts again at least. Like I don't expect to pay the rent, But it'd be nice to make that
But
$200 limit and be able to cash in. And it's US dollars. You know, as a fellow Canadian, when someone says you're getting US dollars, it's like the best thing on the planet, right?
hell yeah. When you can go into the US like, okay, now I know I can make that money, and it's helpful. You know,
Yeah.
anything we can do with it. And I think that you trying to making the Lord of the Rings project is a great way of still doing what you love and just trying to do it in a different avenue. It hopefully things will get better and we'll have cons back shortly. The sooner we can, the better that for everyone's morale. Personally,
I'm missing hugs. I'm missing.
I know I'm a hugger. I am a hugger. I when this whole thing comes, I'm hugging everybody until it gets weird.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
When I see you, I'm gonna hug you.
Wayne, this is the deal, okay? I don't care what cosplays we get
Okay.
into, okay? Okay, we get
All
into
right. All right.
cosplay when this whole thing is over with, and we go running around
Yes.
downtown Toronto and just randomly hug people.
Yes. Because everyone's gonna need hugs. Everyone wants to get hugs now. I totally agree. And Katrina says it best. She says the best and most important thing to please is yourself.
Mhm.
I totally agree. That's exactly what's why body positivity is all about.
But it's really hard sometimes
So
because your brain says you're being egotistical and you're not, but your brain convinces you are. And it's bad. You can't be a good
right.
person if you've got an ego. But it's not an ego.
Yeah. No, it's not. I thought this thing that's like so it's like when you're saying self love is being selfish. I used to think that way, but actually, it's self love is giving yourself, putting yourself a priority to yourself as well as other people in your life. So the same way you give to your husband, you're giving the same sort of priority to yourself too. When it's selfish, it's when you care about no one but yourself. So if you didn't care about Martin, you couldn't care less where he was right now. You're just making sure that you take care of yourself, making sure you have food on the table, making sure you're fine. That's the difference
I
between
try.
self love and being selfish.
Well, and this is it. I don't know
That's
what's a lie and what's the truth because I don't see him. And
mm,
because he's not visual to me. You guys are because we're here, and I am to you guys because we're here. But hey, Chris. But
hi, Chris. Nice.
there's a lot of Chris's on Haps, by the way, Wayne.
Well, Chris is a common name
And
more often than you think.
my
I
father
mean,
wanted.
look at Marvel. We have Chris Evans, we have Chris Hemsworth, and we have Chris Pratt, and in Star Trek we got Chris Prime. Like, come on, man! I'd like to have all the three Chris's all in the same room. Go, hey, Chris. Oh, yes. Like,
My father
no,
wanted.
the good-looking one.
My father wanted to name me
Yeah.
Siobhan. He was going to name me Siobhan, but my mother said, nope, I'm not going to name my child something that's pronounced differently than how it's spelled. And then I became Christina. It's
Mm.
like, really? Do we have to go that far in the opposite direction? Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah. I've been
just,
contemplating changing my name, but I kind of think it's too late now.
mm, yeah, no, I say, you know what? You have a name. If you love it, deal with it. That's all you can do. Um, it's no different than your body. Let me give you an example. My mom. I have my mom. I have my mom, my two aunts, and my wife. All of them are different ladies, and all of them are different body types, but they're beautiful just the same. Same with the guy. It's really not it's not the package that comes with it, it's the inside. I know it sounds cliche, but just because it's cliche doesn't mean it's not true.
It's true.
You have you have guys who are amazingly beautiful, but they're ugly on the inside. And it doesn't matter what body type they are. Same with a woman. Like I've seen women who on both spectrums who are incredibly amazing and and they're like a size 16 or they're a size 6. I've dated many women of different sizes. For and they've met women who look amazingly beautiful on both body types, but inside they're not all there. They're not put together. They're not. They have bad intentions, and that happens. But when you look inside the person and you see the beauty they have inside themselves, that's it. And when you see it in yourself, that's even better.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, we end every broadcast here. Unfortunately, Martin isn't here for me to silly pick on him, but we always end all our broadcasts with respect to yourself more than anyone else, because if you don't,
Mm,
no one can. Self love and self respect is
right.
is very important in my world. I read a meme the other day that said self love is a farce, because if people really love you, no matter how little you love yourself, they will always love you. Well, yeah, they will always love you, but that doesn't mean they're going to want to be around you. They are
True.
eventually going to give up. They are going to eventually have their own self worth kick in and say, listen, you are a drain. It's too much. And,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for that kind of drain, then we wouldn't have things like separation, divorce, isolation, people who are common law instead of married type thing,
Mm,
because it's that the common law is a less of an obligation thing. Yeah, we wouldn't have all
mm,
these things if it wasn't true that you have to love
yeah.
yourself first. People tend to strike out at people if they don't love themselves first. It's useless.
Yeah.
Don't strike out at other people. What's the point? Let them live their life. They're not hurting you. And yeah,
Mm,
with the American, with the whole American economy and the whole Trump being a cult thing and all this stuff. We don't normally talk politics, but when it comes to this kind of subject
mm,
matter, that's a positivity thing too. If you're wrapped up in
yes.
something that's so hating, no matter what anyone says, either direction.
Mm,
I mean, it doesn't matter who supports who. Will your country survive? That's all that matters. Will your country survive the horrible things it goes through? And that whole
right.
loathing and hating, and to have one person have so many people feel like so much crap that they have to compensate in the other direction to feel good,
Hmm.
that says a lot about the majority of the population. Is they're in so
Yeah.
much doubt and so much pain, and they don't have that positive image of themselves. They don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
They have to overcompensate.
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
I know my mother
Yeah,
doesn't watch.
you're absolutely right.
You know, I know my mother doesn't
But
watch.
you're right. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
she yells
I
at the
mean,
TV all the time.
mm.
Sorry.
Well, the thing
Yes.
is, it's easy. It's easy to be mean, to be spiteful, to be hateful, than it is to love something or love someone. It's easy to destroy something than it is to build. It's the same thing like with politics. In this particular case, it's easy to spread lies. It's easy to tell people that they're the reason why things are wrong. They're instead of taking on yourself and say, I need to fix myself. And once, but when you love yourself, you have that self appreciation. You have enough to be accepting of who you are and what you do with your life. Martin Luther King said best, says, in the end, I choose love because hate is too big a burden. And that's what's happened here. And I think with everything going on now, we're slowly getting back into um, being being more into taking care of our family, taking care of ourselves, and that's a good thing, especially in these day and age when like we need each other and we need not only else we need our sanity.
Hey, we're artists. I'm not sure about the sanity part.
Well, it's okay to be crazy. I mean, Albert
Oh,
Einstein
okay.
wasn't exactly this.
So,
Albert Einstein wasn't exactly the same, but he was a genius.
so I can be sane and crazy at the same time. Wayne, I
Yeah,
like you more and more every
you could
day.
be I am. Katrina says it best. Says it takes courage to love someone who is different from you. Agreed. You're right. Absolutely.
Definitely. So
So
we're going to wrap up because
I
of the
like to.
time. It's 10 past 9.
Yes.
We didn't make it to our
Hmm.
250 on this broadcast, so hopefully we'll make it to one before the weekend. And I want to thank Wayne for
Fingers
joining.
crossed.
And everyone, remember, he's a new Hapster. So definitely subscribe to him. I would like him to do a lot of what he's doing, like maybe do slideshows of a lot of the, featuring different cosplayers or something to put up here.
Mm,
Haps is really easy to upload videos and make it work. But Wayne, I will send you a message in a day or two, or you can send me one, so then we can set up for
sure.
your Instagram Live. As I was telling everyone earlier, I stopped Instagram Live because it doesn't archive. Instagram does not archive.
Right.
I like being able to
Mm.
archive things so that people can see it later on if they missed it. So I did stop using Instagram Live, but I'm sure you'll retalk me through it so I can remember how to do Instagram Live.
No problem. You were able to nice enough to talk me through to Habs. Now I'll make sure to help you with when it comes to Instagram, and so that'll be easy for me to help you with.
So Wayne,
And
would
I
you?
also do want to get.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
No, continue.
And I hope to talk to you. I hope I get a chance to talk to you later because I need to help on my cosplay. So I definitely need an expert's opinion on how to do it.
It will probably be sometime tomorrow because now I have to figure out where Martin is.
Got it.
I'm hoping he's where
First
he's
things first.
standing
Got
is.
to. Hope he's alive. That's the most important thing for this man.
We don't have winter tires on our vehicle. We couldn't afford it this year. So, as much as him and I know how to drive in the snow, I told him to stay put because we don't have winter tires on the vehicle and it's dark. So,
Mhm.
he's either pouting, thinking that he's being mummied, or he's just fine laying back on a friend's couch going, yeah, screw COVID.
Well, hopefully he's safe.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he is. I hope he is. So,
Okay.
would you have any last words for the audience here?
Okay. To all of you who are watching right now, I want you to I want you to go in front of a mirror, close your eyes for a minute. This is something I sometimes do before I do anything. Is I look inside myself, see the best version of yourself, and then when you open your eyes, you look at yourself in the mirror, and guess what? You are the best version of yourself. All you got to do is believe it.
Yeah, you should be okay. I hope so, Harold. He was out in Scarborough, so I'm not sure what it's like near the bluffs. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Well, hopefully everyone's safe there. All right. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Christina, for putting me to Habs, and I hope to do more as I get better at it.
Everyone, go ahead and subscribe to him because when he starts doing some awesome stuff, I want to see some awards in his direction too. Everyone, make sure you log in every day, do your awards challenges to get your coins. I usually let them accumulate to about 3,000 before I turn them around and start handing them out to people. That way, I can pick and choose who's going to get the larger ones and who's going to get the smaller ones. And those of you who have actually been buying coins, thank you. Haps, remember, is a beta app, which means it's still in development. So feel free to get in touch with the HAPS team, let them know how your experiences are, what went wrong, what went right, so that they can develop it. From what I understand, I'm not 100% sure because it's other people talking about it, but from what I understand, they will be doing these coin challenges for you to get coins for free until they are no longer a beta. So they are kind of
Right.
tipping us when you think about it to criticize them, but let's be nice to them too. Look for Pablo and look for Peter.
Okay.
The two are the primary developers, and they do weekly little broadcasts. And whenever they do an update, they talk about the update. And once a week, they do the feature, the broadcast of the week. And feel free to take any of the broadcasts that you want to submit and submit them to Pablo and Peter as a broadcast of the week. And maybe your chosen broadcast will get on their little summary at the end of the week. But I hope to see everyone for the Lord of the Rings thing on Sunday. And remember, respect yourselves. So I am going to let Wayne go, and then I am going to run my last little video, and then we will say see
Okay.
you later until next time we meet. So, Wayne, would you like to say goodbye to everyone?
Bye, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Later,
And whatever you
Wayne.
do, be safe. Later.
All right, folks. So Wayne's on his way. I hope you enjoyed that. He's quite, thanks for that, Wayne. Yes, Katrina. Wayne is quite the person. If you're on Instagram, look for body.heroes. And that is Wayne, and you will see all the cosplayers he's been supporting for a while. And now that he's on HAPS, let's show him some loving. And let's see, I'd like him to bring over his body positive format over here. And I would love to see him get some of those cosplayers over here to show them on slideshows and feature them. And we used to have a lot of cosplayers on Periscope, but unfortunately, between trolls and the way Periscope is designed, a lot of people were doing like literally G-strings with links to paid porn sites, calling themselves cosplayers, and a lot of the cosplayers were driven away from Periscope. And Martin and I lost a lot of friends, so to speak. I'd love to see that not happen with HAPS. I'd love this to be a safe platform for them to be creative and positive and beautiful within their own rights. So, guys, I'm going to play my last little video. I turn my mic off, and I will see you guys later. Remember, respect yourself more than anyone else can, and everything will be just fine. Stay safe. Take care.
Keep the time.
You had a great time in Montreal. Montreal was all hard floors, right? Go on, camera. Camera. I'd like to. That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite. No. Well, look hot there. So how much styrofoam?
No. Way too much styrofoam. The birds are confused. It's like, what's this city doing?